When most people think of Africa, what comes to mind is lions, elephants, zebras, and giraffes. It is true that Africa contains some of the most exotic animals in the world, but for the most part, they are contained within several game reserve parks. But Africa cannot be simply looked upon as a land full of animals, because it is also a land full of people. About 40 years ago, Zambia peacefully obtained their independence from Great Britain and has been working hard ever since to build their country into a land of prosperity and happiness for its citizens. Zambia is a beautiful and peaceful country located in the heart of Africa. However, not only is Zambia landlocked physically in the center of Africa, it is also landlocked economically. Zambia has very few natural resources and hardly any mechanisms for trade. This makes their economic situation perilous. The vast majority of Zambians live in rural villages where they farm for a living. The land they farm is seriously depleted and they have no fertilizers, irrigation, or modern equipment, so the yields are small despite hard work. For the most part, the people of Zambia are still faced with extreme poverty, living without running water or electricity, without adequate amounts of food for their children, and without appropriate health care given the epidemic of infectious diseases that are ravaging that part of the world. Zambians are stricken with every kind of infectious disease: cholera, polio, tetanus, diphtheria. Epidemics of malaria and AIDS run out of control, striking children and adults alike, creating an unprecedented number of orphans. Zambia is one of only a handful of countries where extreme poverty has been on the rise instead of on the decline. Sadly, their average life expectancy is now only 36 years and dropping. The impoverished government of Zambia can't provide for adequate educational opportunities, so the illiteracy rates in Zambia are actually on the rise. Only 23% of Zambians living in the northern province can now attend school beyond the 7th grade. This lack of education combined with a depressed economy creates an unbelievable 92% unemployment rate. So, the average Zambian family is left to subsistence farming, scratching out of the earth just enough food to survive, living somewhat like their ancestors did thousands of years ago, hoping the rain and earth will provide. But Zambians have a culture dedicated to solving their own problems. They don't want to become dependent on handouts from other countries. They want to work, and they work hard now to solve their own problems. But they know this is dependent on rising above the ignorance of the past. What the new generation of Zambian people want more desperately than anything else is education.
I met a man there, and he probably was my biggest, shall I just say, he made me think about education in a way I had never thought about before. He said, more than food and more than clothing, I want to get an education. He said, an education is the only thing that's going to change my life.
They rightly understand that an education will give them the ability to solve their own problems and allow them, their families, and their country to escape from the chains of poverty. With an education, they can farm and feed themselves more effectively. They can create better health care and quit fighting persistent sickness and death. And they can create jobs and develop a sustainable economy. That's where the Zambian Scholarship Fund comes into play. Since the government can only pay for children's education through grade 7, the Zambian Scholarship Fund provides the means for children who have passed their 7th grade tests to continue their education by going to a high school. Then after high school, the Zambian Scholarship Fund pays for a student to attend a teacher's college where they study to become teachers. Lastly, the Zambian Scholarship Fund pays teachers who have graduated from a teacher's college to teach in rural village schools where they can prepare young children to go to high school. This completes the full circle because now the students being taught will be able to go on and teach others. The ripple effect is far-reaching and endless in impact. A dramatic, life-altering impact can be made for such a small amount of money. All the high schools and teachers' colleges are boarding schools that require the students to leave home and travel great distances to attend. But for as little as $20 a month, someone in America can send a student to a high school or college. This includes everything they need to go to boarding school, the food, books, uniforms, and dormitory rooms where they live. Or if you prefer to help a teacher, they can be hired and sent to a rural community to teach hundreds of children for only $75 a month. Schools in Zambia, even colleges, often have only one textbook for 30 or more students to share and do homework from. And many of these books are more than 50 years old. In 2006, the Zambia Scholarship Fund expanded its role of supporting education in Zambia by bringing thousands of books to the schools and students sponsored by the fund. Textbooks and storybooks were delivered en masse to children who had perhaps never seen more than a couple of books in their lives. Rarely do we have an opportunity to provide such a powerful gift. Rarely do we have an opportunity to change a part of the world so dramatically. Rarely do we have an opportunity to change a person's life so dramatically. Rarely do we have an opportunity to bring happiness and joy at so small a price. Rarely do we have an opportunity to lift another's burdens so significantly. The Zambian Scholarship Fund has helped many people in Zambia become educated, but we have a long way to go. Thousands and thousands of eager young scholars have no hope of an education because their families are simply too poor to help them finish their schooling, or in many cases they have no families left to help them. Right now, hundreds of those young men and women wait on lists, waiting for God to answer their prayers for a miracle. You can be that miracle. Do it today.
People of America, we are thanking you very much. We are thanking you. We are down on edge.